All right. Okay. Make sure my levels is right. Mic check. Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Hold on. Make sure my stuff's right. Okay. Let's do this. Let's go. We back. Okay. Okay. Let's go. Let's go. Welcome back. Welcome back. Let me turn this down. Welcome back. Welcome back to Dissect the Dialogue. This is Eric C. Here to drop off the tea. So let's go, shall we? Okay, that just rhymed. Might start using that. Anyway, episode 106. Hasn't really been that many episodes. Damn. Time flying by. Anyway, here to talk about some stuff. Hope everybody's having a safe time, had a safe couple of weeks. I know I have. I guess I'll just go with the personals then. I don't know why every time I watch the Olympics, something in my gut tells me that I'm not doing anything with my life when I see, teenagers winning medals. Then there's the other side where I know I'm not doing enough when I see middle-aged Caucasian women attempting to break dance on live TV. That's when I know I'm in that middle lane. So maybe I'm just like, let me just focus on myself. Let me not worry about what I'm doing. But shout out to everybody that participated. Shout out to my country. I mean, shout out to the other countries too. China's killing it, France, whatever, Jamaica, all that. Shout out to all the winners. Shout out to all the people that, redeem whatever. But I ain't gonna lie, the Olympics was actually pretty interesting. It was actually it was more competitive. It was more innovative as far as like how the athletes were. A lot of them, just very different from the way from just how they were in the past. It's innovative, very creative, very sportsmanlike, very racist. I'm sorry, very open-minded when it comes to certain people's demographics. Speaking of being open-minded to certain people's demographics, is it me or is the Olympic Committee starting to hate a lot of color being present in the games? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just talking mess. But yeah, because this is what I don't like. For those who know, I'm talking about Jordan Childs. She won bronze, but they're talking about they're trying to take her medal away because they did the wrong score. So let me get this right. The people gave her the wrong score. They take her medal away, but somehow people are mad at her. Doesn't make any sense to me. Don't get it. But the reason why I bring this up is like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Y'all know how I think about sports in general, but I'm gonna take that out and be objective. I'm gonna take my stuff out of the equation and be objective. I think stuff like the Olympics, in some capacity, kind of with all the chaos in the world and all the craziness, all the hoopla and the conundrums that's going on, hullabaloo. What y'all know what I'm trying to get at? I think when the Olympics come, I know they do it every 4 years, but I think they should probably do it every, I say 2 or something. But I find it ironic that they would do it 4 years because that's usually when elections come up. Maybe I'm reaching anyway, but I think it's cool that they can have a certain time where all the powers, all the countries in the world come together and just, have fun competition with one another, just as a way to calm all the noise down, the chaos and the craziness that's going on. I think to me, I think that's a good thing. I think it's a great thing. But of course, you have your negatives because sometimes when everybody's coming together thinking everything's gonna be, happy, happy, joy, kumbaya. You always got your select few that always want to talk mess. And I think this has been going on for really ever since the Olympics really came to fruition. I mean, you had it with Jesse Owens in 36. You had it with, the 68 Olympic team, when they put the fist up. You had it with Gabby Douglas, Simone Biles, the list goes on. Reason why I bring this up is just, the fact that us as a people, right? Black Americans, I'm gonna just say Black Americans. Us as a people, uh, we I don't know if it's, I don't want to say we're all victims all the time, or like victims of circumstance, but just in a grand scheme of things, we're never really respected as just a whole, unless we're doing something to entertain a crowd, whether it be our athleticism, whether it be our musical gifts, whether it be just our entertaining gifts. And I noticed that when it comes to, with the integration, especially back in those days, that in order to be kind of respected or like put up on a pedestal, you would rather get respect for being an athlete rather than just being a doctor or a lawyer or just somebody that's making an impact on the world, philanthropist, businessman, salesman, whatever. People would rather respect someone of a certain complexion to be athletes rather than right. We would rather be thoroughbreds than actual people that use our mind to do things in this world. And I always thought it was an odd pattern because I was reading a story about Jesse Owens and how, and for those that seen the movie of the Jesse Owens biopic, spoiler alert for those, or you can just look it up. But after he persevered, won, 4 gold medals, despite being in, what was it? What was it? World War One? Because it was 36, right? Either like war was it like starting when Germany was starting to take over? It was one of the world wars. Y'all can correct me if I'm, but I'm pretty sure it was 36 Olympics. I know World War II started in 39 technically, but I think one of the world wars. I'm gonna just say one, just for the time being. Either way, when that was happening in Germany was whatever. Had held the Olympics. People thought, oh, Jesse Owens came in Berlin and destroyed everything. But when Jesse Owens came home to his own homeland, he wasn't respected. They told him, hey, go in the back. Hey, go in the back. I understand that, you're an Olympian, but so I don't know. I've always been a big fan of history and looking at my roots. And looking at my roots, and this is when I get a little dicey, but looking at my roots, and this is when I other minorities from different places try to correct you and critique you on. So where you really come from, you really have no history. Like I actually spoke to, like actually I had like 2 grandmothers still living. Like the grandma on my mom's side, I was able to talk to her, and she was saying like how her mom barely spoke English. I think it was like Creole, kind of like broken French. And I'm over here thinking, now part of me was trying to think, yeah, because like, yeah, I have Louisiana roots and all that, but that's what everybody said. But like, I legit had a source, like my great grandmother actually like was fluent in Creole or something, spoke like looked like broken French. That's basically what she told me. And I think about just how we're so disconnected with our roots. And then I think about how they talk about the natives and how they talk about Black Americans. And I know people are not going to believe what I'm saying. and what I'm talking about. But I've always heard my grandmother mentioned that her mom had a road number. Now, for those that don't know what a road number is, it was commonly used on natives, kind of like a barcode. Like if you're putting a barcode on like some object or some property, they would like mark them. They'll mark and put a number on them. They'll mark them as like their property or like what zone they're at when they were, captive or whatever, where they're zoned at. Give them a road number. And I noticed a lot of us have had stories where we had a great grandmother, great grandfather that had a road number or had land. So I'm like trying to connect the dots. So we were really slaves, as the history books say we were. Where's all this connection of us owning land and having crops and having our own neighborhoods, having our own? Because at one point we did. At one point, which goes into the question of the night: are we the true Americans? And if so, is that the reason why we are like considered bottom of the barrel? Now, granted, there's some things that I see within my community that I can't stand. Y'all know I'm objective, so I'm just saying the truth. There's some things in my community that I can't stand and I don't like that they do, or that they get away with because they want to use the oppression flag, thinking that because I'm a victim of, whatever, how many years of oppression, the same amount they want to use of oppression, that they think they're supposed to they think they can just get away with doing certain things. And that's one thing I don't like. It's cool if you can mention your, oppression or mention what you come from. But my problem is, in which I don't like that white people do, is that they make it like this whole, or like they get succumb to just being victims of oppression. So it plays into their everyday life. They think every little circumstance, every little thing that they go through has to deal with their ancestors that they probably even never even met in their life. So they use it as a crutch for everything. Now, granted, I do know about Jim Crow and redlining and black codes and all these things. I understand. I'm not ignorant to that knowledge. But what I will say is, and what I'll bring this up too, a lot of people don't know that a lot of Black Americans, like in the 20th century, a lot of us were considered pretty well off. Not necessarily rich. We weren't the filthy rich per se, but we was pretty we was living well. We were really living well. Like we were paying our bills on time, everything, cars, all that, because we had our own system. But I guess somewhere along the way, when you want something more that you haven't seen, you're willing to do whatever it takes to get it. For those that don't know, this documentary, it should be on YouTube. It's called How to Sell to the Negro. I might post it somewhere on here. Watch that, and it is mind blowing. But it basically broke down how the fact that the dollar bill in our community last 6 hours, why the reason was that, and the reason why they showed it is because there's certain tricks that, not saying who's doing it, but the powers that we do to get that lures us into getting certain items, like getting a certain car, TV, or rug because it has a certain atmosphere about it, or people might think you're most basically. We usually get stuff, which makes sense. We still do it to this day. We usually buy stuff because we want to show out in front of other people. We want other people to look at what we got, which is why Jordans are still going crazy, because ignorant people like us, unfortunately, will run to get some high price shoe that doesn't make any sense. I mean, people will literally stand in line to pay for shoes that's like almost $300, but won't even pay the rent. I think they don't have enough money to pay the rent, but they have enough to buy shoes. I find that very insane as a thing. But not to go on a rant. Um, so yeah, I say this to say this: we had all these things. We had neighborhoods, we had artists, when you don't have money, so it's kind of like a favor. Not, I don't want to say quid pro quo, but I guess it's something to that capacity. It was what we did. That's what kept everything going. We didn't have a lot of cash, but the exchange of goods and services is what kept our neighborhoods moving. And I don't want this to come off like separating race. None of that. I know, some of it is like taking words of what you're saying. But come to think about who was on welfare first, Caucasians was on welfare first. So were white people, Caucasians, the first, like the poor ones, and we were technically the well-off ones? Because now, thanks to the Democratic Party, it flipped to where we're the ones begging for welfare. We're the ones begging to get food stamps. We're the ones begging for all these things. Well, the ones that was able to capitalize off of wealth. That's what I was saying. I think the Caucasians back in the day was able to capitalize off of welfare. We just got comfortable because I don't think we were used to seeing actual money. Like I said, we have a barter system, so we weren't used to seeing actual money. We weren't used to seeing actual items that you could say, here, I have this buy. So the problem is when you give someone something that they haven't seen, they'll act like they'll spend it like it's nothing. And I think that's what, and how the Celtics unique. I think that's what it explained. I think it broke down how you can use up a community's goods and resources by giving them something shiny, and then it turns into dust right in front of them. I also find it interesting that, we say we want to get reparation. We say we want to be equal, but like I always think about civil rights movement too, and this all ties up to like Olympics and like certain athletes and like even like with the Kaepernick thing. It all ties into Simone Biles. It all ties into everything. The civil rights movement, was it for us? Was it meant to be for us? Because basically this is how I see this right as I'm an adult now. Basically, with the help of Martin Luther King, not to throw shots, but gotta be honest, we were basically saying, hey, we want to be with the white people. And we gave up all our resources, all ownership of our businesses, land, and all that, just to be meshed up together. Again, this isn't spreading hate, it's just being objective. You can look at it and see for yourself. Because fast forward, you still got some crazy stuff that would happen in the 60s. Loki's still going on, and now they just don't mention it as much. Or if they do mention it, they'll mention it weeks later when the election comes. But neither here nor there. I think it's very confusing and ironic and interesting that, especially us as people, we say that we don't want to partake in, the other side, what they want to do, or we want to act like they're the enemy, or we want to act like that they're this, that, and the third. But the civil rights movement was basically kind of metaphorically trying to kiss ass to get up into that world, per se. And fast forward, it's still going on. People are still trying. I mean, people join fraternity sororities and all these different groups. They get connection because they know a person that knows a person, just because they want that lifestyle. And that's another thing that also mentioned how it's Nico, the lifestyle. We don't even want to engage in like saving money and like building, legacy. for like centuries to come for the families. Everything is always lifestyle, which I get it. People want that quick fix. They want the heat, the very heatedness. They just want to hurry up and go. I get it. But when you think of long term, it's very immature. And we're behind the eight ball a lot of times when it comes to that because we're so busy on trying to look like we have wealth or act like we have wealth, but we really don't have anything. We're still, getting more and more. Like the lack of respect is growing more and more and more each day. Now, granted that media can perpetuate how we act. I get it. Whoever controls the media. I understand. But I think the problem is we don't have self-respect. I don't think we have self-respect at all. And what I mentioned before about my family, I honestly think that we could be, honestly, the people that was the true Americans, the ones that was actually here, because of how, we're kind of behind, or like the goal is always being moved ahead. But it's like it's a tug of war because one side wants to move the goal ahead, but some people just want to move the goalposts just out the way and don't even want to compete or don't even want everything handled. So they want to move the goalposts to them. They want a quick fix. They don't want to work for anything. So you got that to deal with. It's a mix. It's a mixture of stuff. It's a big mix. It's a big mix. Nobody wants to put in the effort to actually, fight through the nose to get it. But that's just my 2 cents on that. Let's go with final thoughts. All right, final thoughts on this. Now, when it comes to our identity, it's always been very confusing. Nobody knows what to call us now. Our name's been changed so many times that it's almost like a headache just to keep up with some of it. Are we African American? Are we this? Are we colored? Are we the true natives? Are we Hebrews? Are we all these things? I mean, can we just first start out being human first? I think that's and I think it's only in our country that, even though we're in 2024, race is still an issue. Probably not a big issue, but it's still like a touchy conversation because people still get awkward mentioning certain things. People still have an uncomfortable feeling when they talk about, our country's passage. But hey, we didn't create the country that it was. We helped build it. We helped have the infrastructure, whether voluntary or involuntarily. But we didn't create the system as it was, per se. Of course, we had some traitors within our camp, but we didn't create the system as it was today. Again, I'm pointing fingers. I'm just saying we didn't create the system as it was today. And I think the issue problem is, and I might do another take. I might do another side of episode, and I might break down who created gang culture. I think I want to touch on that more because I've been doing some research, and I think that's interesting. But anyway, like I said, I find it funny that Americans want to pick and choose whether they want to be great or bad. Me, I represent America, the good and bad. I like the good stuff about America just as much as the bad. To be honest, I mean, sure, we invite immigrants. We're like immigrant town as a country. We invite everybody to come in, whether positive or negative. We let them come in, let them do their thing. Have all the food, all the jobs, everything. Negative, we take, steal, rape, pillage, whatever you can name. We do all those things too. So, positive and negative, however you want to call it. just like, it's kind of like a relative. Like, this person is a terrible person, just scum of the earth, but you make up any excuse to say, oh, I love him, providing that any function. So treat your country that way. Stop hiding stuff from the past just because it's too touchy, or it's too this, or it's too uncomfortable to talk about, because it's just like our history is nasty, and we don't prefer, like, you think going to school, you think I want to see people looking like me getting chained up, getting killed. You know how damaging in the psyche that is when you're in school, or like watching stuff about that topic, and then you be like one of the few kids of your race in the class. You know how awkward that is. But it also kind of, I think that's a form of brain. I think that's a form of brain control. I honestly think that's brain control, because there's no way y'all showing this to like 11 and 12-year-olds. Like, I get it, it's like, oh, it's wrong. It's wrong. If it's wrong, why do you keep showing it every year? Why not mix it up? Show the horrific side of that history, then show the horrific side of how y'all were treating us. Find some movies where, you show the negative side of that. I want to see, like I said, I don't want to read history books where a term like Nick and Chain and killing someone that's Caucasian is like a hero. He's a pioneer. He's a maverick. He's all these things. I don't want to see that all the time. Show me both sides. Show me many sides. Many sides. I don't know why I did show me version. But yeah, man, that's all I got to say about that. Like, I mean, about the Jordan Child thing. I mean, it's cool, but at the end of the day, that shouldn't matter. That material stuff shouldn't matter. But I would fight for your right as regards to that. But shout out to everybody a part of it. But we're more than just show ponies. Everybody's more than just one thing. I don't want to be oh, you only respect me, or you only think that I'm cool or a hero or impactful to society if I'm bouncing the ball, running a race, tackling somebody, dancing, rapping, or whatever. I don't want you to think that either. Right? Just some 2 cents. But yeah. Oh, okay. So I know I'm gonna do my job. So I got a lot of them. Like I said, let me know what y'all think. Y'all think, are Black Americans the true Americans, or do you think we're still not respected as humans? I mean, let me know what y'all think. I'll put a poll in somewhere on my YouTube. I don't know when I'm gonna do it. I got some stuff in the works. Like I said, might have to take some little hiatus, but not really. But still doing other stuff on the work. Still got a few projects I got working on. But like I said, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, X, Spotify, Apple, you know the rest. IG, TikTok, I'm everywhere. But till then, keep moving, keep pushing. See you in the next one. Peace.